Good morning again. Professor Yang, thank you very much for your kind invitation to join your important event and giving me opportunity to present a little fragment of our understanding and efforts in cultural heritage importance in Europe, which is also very much supported by the research efforts of European Union, European Commission. Today, I would like to give you some background of importance of heritage for the society. Since we are celebrating the Cultural Heritage Days, we are also celebrating the importance of cultural heritage to prosperity, for societal resilience, which we can see as a driver of this important societal issue. So the term cultural heritage has changed content considerably in recent decades, partially owing to the instruments developed by UNESCO. Cultural heritage does not end at monuments and collections of objects. It also includes traditions of living expression inherited from our ancestors and passed on to our descendants, such as oral traditions, performing arts, social practices, rituals, festive events, knowledge and practices concerning nature and the universe of the knowledge and skills to produce traditional crafts and contributing to the creative economy. The new understanding of cultural heritage reflects in the themes and holistic content of the European Heritage Days from the very beginning 35 years ago. Cultural heritage provides not only a vehicle for self-recognition as a society, but also provides a mirror for society to manage the past and to discuss, mold, and create their own identity through critical reflections. It provides an important tool for cultivating cultural depth, the inclusion of different cultural perspectives, and thus a stronger sense of self-worth as a society. If this can be achieved, resilience to global and local threats will follow as an instinct desire to preserve contemporary sociality memory. This will translate into thinking in the future and thus allow for a change in social mindsets towards preparing and preventing for future contingencies. So, if we are observing the cultural heritage, it is something what human beings put into the rich natural heritage. You may look that as intrusion, but it has also a positive aspect. So where culture and cultural heritage and natural heritage meets, we meet in cultural environment and landscape. And this cultural environment and landscape is something what we enjoy, what we live on. In our picture here, it is a little bit greeting from Slovenia, the view to the highest top, Triglav, from the Lake Bled, above which we have a castle 1000 years old. Well, Europe is very much aware of this heritage. As I mentioned previously, the richness of European heritage brings us also a responsibility. And in Cultural Heritage Days 2018, focus was oriented to research, because research is very important part of heritage preservation, and I am a bit promoting it since I am basically by profession researcher. 2018 found the research and innovation in cultural heritage very important because it can find new ways of preserving cultural heritage and using this heritage smartly. The near future challenges are in visualizing and interpreting cultural heritage in new ways, encouraging sustainable tourism, helping emergence of new and creative sectors, but all very, very supported by ICT technologies. So, 2 heritage years. This year, where we are putting all-inclusive in front, and next year, which brings us sustainable heritage, are siblings, because ecosystem and cultural services goes very well together. The idea of interaction of ecosystem services and cultural heritage services is put forward as an opportunity for creation jobs, an increase of the well-being of societies in protected areas as Natura 2000, which is a big issue in Europe. It is closely related to important issue of sustainable reuse, assessment and renovation of historic buildings and monuments in rural areas. For example, vernacular architecture solutions could be implemented using local traditional materials and techniques. This, on the other hand, could be example of nature-based solutions, and on the other hand, could contextualize construction and preserve the cultural heritage. It can be very well illustrated with this small scheme. On one side, the ecosystem services, which is a well-established discipline and knowledge about. On the other side, we are proposing recent years to use the theory developed by ecosystem services to mirror to the cultural heritage services. And below, you have shaking hands between this year and next year cultural heritage days, and I hope we'll have opportunities to promote, develop this idea further. Well, ecosystem cultural heritage services, if you have the very short look on it and follow direct, indirect, optional, legacy, instinct values, and we read what the theory of ecosystem services is bringing forward, we can easily recognize that we can use almost the same expressions, but reflected more concentrated on cultural heritage. Well, if you want to identify cultural heritage services, we have to know about the aspects, about all what heritage is giving us. Therefore, here in Ljubljana, during our research work, we developed and suggest to introduce so-called significances of cultural heritage in our understanding, kind of the list of the topics which are linked to cultural heritage. You can see in the upper part of this list, there are more technical issues from state of preservation of heritage, about the hazards and risks, about the environmental issues, and also about the basic information about the heritage, what we have to collect when we are dealing with. On lower part are more, I can say, the issues which are touching or talking about the soul of heritage. If you are talking about the body of heritage, the upper categories. We are talking about the soul, about the non only material, more immaterial things as a historic influence, cultural symbolic influence, social impact, economic and aesthetic, then we can bring all story together. Just to again to a little bit promote our country, the heritage site in Slovenia is prehistoric pile dwelling around the alpine. And in this place, in Slovenia, close to Ljubljana, it was discovered the eldest wooden wheel from old 5,200 years, which was used in traffic. So economic significances of cultural heritage is a very important issue. We invest in heritage a lot, but we also need the heritage help us to gain back some of this investment, to use it on other heritage sites, because the richest heritage is also a high demand of investment. So here in economic significances, we exposed non-use value, use value, and investment potential, which is defined by effects of investment in cultural heritage, like reconstruction, restoration, and the basis for assessment are conservation plans, feasibility studies, which include financial and economic analysis, indirect economic development effects, among others. About non-use and use values, the things are almost clear, and there's no need to talk a lot about. So just let me go to the second part, where I want to present you two case studies how the cultural heritage can be usefully implemented and used for increasing well-being of inhabitants. I think these cases are very close to the cases you have in Taiwan, because as I know, you are taking a lot of care about the vernacular architecture, about the heritage on sites, natural sites, villages, and also that you respect all techniques, all wisdom, which is in your beautiful buildings. So these two cases are all about these issues. So one of these places is in Slovenia, where we implemented this idea of heritage and economy, is the Kozjansko region, close to Croatian border, which was in history a borderline from the Turkish Ottoman intrusion. So it's rich with castles, but it's rich also with natural resources. And so it enabled development of glass production, agricultural, and also all other economic issues and adventures. So it was decided after the earthquake, 1974, magnitude 5.1, which affected very much this area, to do something to promote the cultural values and economy. So in 1981, it was established the regional park, which took responsibility to bring life also through heritage, natural and cultural. Also, this area is known as a crossroad of different pilgrimage routes, which are in Europe very recognized touristic, sacral, and also religious touristic events. Having all this in mind, 2001, it was launched the Kozjansko Apple Festival, which is traditional central event in this regional park, which held every year in second week of October, just a little bit after Heritage Days, so we can put it in context of Heritage Days. With this event, they want to show cooperation with the inhabitants of the park and join efforts in the protection of natural values and preservation of cultural landscape in Kozjansko region, whose most typical recognizable landscape element are tall meadow orchards with old apple varieties. And just a little detail of one of such events, when on the city square, this is a small medieval city. In medieval ages, all events were on squares, so tradition is going on. Local people offers all the products. Let's say on the second picture, you see traditional Slovenian cake made of nuts. And then also we are collecting from nature products and also celebrating on events on the right side, where we know painted eggs for Easter time. And children are enjoying that most. And another case is a very recent one. At very end of last year, Croatian region of Banovina, which is about 100 kilometers east from Slovenian border, was affected by the rather strong earthquake of 6.4 magnitude. And I had a chance to visit these places on the first day of this year, and then on the 6th January and 16th January. Also being included in some humanitarian action, but also I took this chance because by my basic profession, I'm earthquake engineer. So I was curious how buildings behaved. So it's very, very illustrative case on these pictures. This area is very well known from the wooden structures because it's rich by oak and other types of wood. And early 19th century rural house was not affected by earthquake, while the end of 20th century built suburban house collapsed. And what is the secret? Here you can see a small sketch how these wooden houses are constructed. This picture in the middle is again one of the structures I took picture on the January 1st this year, which was visually and inside not affected by earthquake. And here is the number of wisdoms, of knowledge preserved in these buildings, which should be used also in future. So just to thank you for your attention, and with warm greetings and wishes for successful work on heritage all next years, decades. And also, I'm very pleased that idea of European Heritage Days reached your country, and I am looking forward for any contribution and work together in future. Thank you.